with our IT guy that's hired off site, we keep coming into and now you can go listen to it whenever you want through your buds or whatever. So, so we're so glad you're here. Thanks for tuning in, all you Facebook and YouTube folks. So we are here today at a class at Waters Garden Center. Yeah, you all know where you're at anyway. I know you all know where you're at. We've got probably 30, 35 people here in the class. Keep us posted how many show up, Ken, on the 20 already. Oh my gosh, in seconds, and they'll build. So we'll have equally as many online. Thank you for that. While you're there, take a look. See that little like thing, the thumbs up. Subscribe, will you? So that would help us out. That goes for you all too. In today's digital world, 5-star Google review. Secret is 5-star. Helps out little companies, and then watching what they're doing. So we're all trying to get better at it. So if you're a fan at all, kind of help us out that way, especially you folks, because I know you're already tuned in. Today's class is going to be on how to get your soils ready. And it's a short class. It's very technical. Not a lot of plants. There's no plants. It's all about soils, fertilizers, nutrients, what's going to help those plants wake up and thrive in the spring that's coming. So that's the class. I thought I would go ahead and go deep into the soils and deep into the fertilizers. Fertilizer wasn't really on this topic, but I think I got enough time to pull that off. And then I'll leave you a teaser. Next week's class is on fruit trees. I thought I would go over the fruit trees are here, but I thought I'd tease you with, here's some unique ones you've never seen before. Even I got excited. So I thought I'd just show that, not go deep into it at all, but just kind of entice you to kind of come back and listen in or tune in. So let's start with, who the heck is this guy? So my name's Ken. I own the garden center. So that's kind of me. Our family has owned the garden center for 59 years. It's our 59th spring that we've been open. So my father-in-law started the garden center back in 1962, March. So we are going to celebrate our 59th spring open house. We're still formulating what that looks like. The weekend prior to spring, I think that's the 14th, that weekend right there. So we're trying to get our growers to come in. Unfortunately, growers, typically we fly our growers in from all over the Southwest. They come and you can chat with them. These are nerdy plant folks. You all would really like them because you're kind of nerdy. You're here in February, there's snow on the ground. You're a nerdy gardener, okay? In case you're wondering, that's what you are. And so you just have this conversation. They know Latin. They can talk all the chemical. Some of the guys have created some of the products that we're going to talk about. Unfortunately, they don't get out much. They like their greenhouses more than they like people. And so some of them are starting to say, no, COVID, I'm not going to do that yet. Or planes are still awkward. So we're trying to get creative. I'm at least going to try to get some freebies out of them. Can I give away one of your trees? Can I give away a new shrub? Can you give me some of those to raffle off? So we'll see how that morphs, but I'm sure you'll hear more about that. My wife works here in the garden center. Her name's Lisa. Real pretty blonde down at the garden center. You'll see that. See her, not that, her. And then my daughter works down there, real pretty tall, like young, vibrant gal. She's running the registers. She's working here. And then the big news, I've got my oldest daughter is packing up boxes right now. She's going to move from Austin, Texas with her husband and move to Prescott, Arizona permanently the first week in March. That's kind of your first one to know. So we're working out trucking companies and how to move stuff, and so it's gonna be great. So I'll have two of my daughters, and one's brought a husband. So I'll have 3 kids here working in the garden center this spring, which is kind of set. So hopefully the 3rd generation will be able to take this and go. So it's very, as a father, I'm really excited. Okay, so soils. I got my soils ready right before the snowstorm hit. That would have been the perfect time. The next best time is, well, now, and pray for another snowstorm. That'd be the best. So you kind of need some moisture to settle this stuff out, because we're going to front load those soils so that they're really ready to charge up new seedlings and to get those new starts to take off. Our actual plant dates, you won't plant your summer plants until about Mother's Day. May 8th is our last frost date, just so you know. So the locals, we use Mother's Day as a holiday to kind of remember. I don't remember May 8th, but I know Mother's Day is right there always. And so that's when you start putting out your summer plants, tomatoes, things that form a fruit, cucumbers, eggplants, things that love the heat, peppers. Before that, you can plant all the spring things. There's a whole series of plants that love the cool nights, bright days, and that usually starts about March 1. So you're getting your soils ready right on time to get ready for a March. That's when your potatoes and radishes and your lettuce and broccoli, all the leafy things that you're harvesting, the flower, cauliflowers and broccoli. That's when you put the late winter, early spring plants in. And so that's our season. Towards the end of the growing season, just while I'm talking vegetables, you can get a whole nother set of crops in, another harvest in starting fall. So usually end of August, September through October, we're planting again those things we're planting in March, the leafy things. We're planting again, and you'll harvest broccoli for Christmas dinner. You'll have cauliflower, Brussels sprouts towards the end of the year. So there's kind of 3 planting seasons. Because we're a 4-season climate, but very mild, we can have that, which is unusual. Most parts of the country, you only get 2 shots of this, spring and summer, and then it's over. Here, because it's so mild, we have these Indian summers that it just gets cold, and then it gets really nice again through the end of the year. That's just how this year worked out. So soils, it's not just for vegetables. This is for flowers. I'm a flower grower. In fact, my vegetables, I actually use them like flowers. I'll put a tomato in with a beautiful cage I've painted red or green or orange, or it's a piece of art. It forms fruits. That's great. I'll eat those. That's super, but they're beautiful. Then I'll have some flowers that drape over. It's just this artistic piece. Toward the retaining walls, I'll have tomatoes kind of spill over, cucumbers or watermelons spill over because they're just pretty. And then I get to impress the grandkids. They come over going, "Can we pick one of those?" I'm going, "Yeah, have at it. Go for it." And so it's fun that way. Flowers, though, have the same exact way of prepping the soils. Things that use a lot of energy, a lot of food, a lot of nutrients, they're going to need to be recharged every year. So what the book says is add a 2-inch layer to the entire garden bed, raised bed, whatever that garden space is, in ground, above ground, whatever, 2-inch layer of organic material turned into 1 shovel's depth, or 1 rototill, 1 shovel's depth. So about 8 inches, 10 inches. Deeper's better. If you were English, you would say double turn. Go deep and then turn a little bit more. That's a lot of work. I'm kind of a lazy gardener. Just get it in there. If the soil is perking and it's grown some nice stuff before, we're just trying to up the nitrogen, nutrients, and phosphorus levels up so that it will start to help those new plants start taking off fast. If you do this, you're going to have so much growth. It's going to be scary. It's going to be really fun. You can do this. So it's a little bit awkward here. The thing that you're really trying to fight is our water. That's the number one thing. Your water is not your friend. The water is extremely alkaline, to the point where it's almost sterile. Some of you folks on wells, how many people do we have that are on wells? Third of the group. Okay, I've been on many wells. One well I had, I was going on quite a few acres. out in Chino Valley, the well that was out there, 9.2 pH. Virtually, if you get in a hot tub with above 8 pH, your skin starts to crawl off your body. So a pool will do the same thing. Well, that also happens to your plants. The roots will literally be damaged. And so the symptoms of a pH that's crept up too high is that the leaves will start to turn yellow. They'll start to fade, they'll start to drop. They won't blossom, they'll drop their blossoms. These are all indications. You'll think, oh, I need more iron. It's not iron. There's so much iron in the ground here, it's ridiculous. It just gets locked up, so the plant can't access it. And so if you lower that pH instantly, things turn around just like that. So it's the pH is the number one thing. I'll show you how to correct that, but just set the stage so you know why we're doing these things. Sun is bright. Make sure your soil drains. All those things that you already know. So you can't garden in a bathtub. It just fills up with water. It drowns things. Plants drown just like people do. They have to breathe in the root level. If you fill up all those air pockets with water molecules, you'll get what we call damping off of seedlings. It shoots up and then just gets yellow, falls over. Just damping off. Seedlings are really sensitive. So seedlings, they want to die. And they're just let me die. That's what I want to do. You let me go dry for a couple hours, I'll be dead. I'll be out of here. Overwater me one afternoon, I'm out of here. I'm done. Once they get up there, they got a couple leaves on them, a couple sets of racks of leaves, they're all good. And their seedlings are so sensitive. You got to really be on your game as a gardener when that happens. And once they start, you're good. That's why I don't start by seed. I start by plants, because it just kind of helps me I just kind of start things out there faster. Plus I own greenhouses filled with plants. Plus it also jumpstarts my garden. So instead of starting by seed outside where the temperature, the soil's real cool, I'll start with a plant that was started 6-8 weeks ago. So when I put it in the ground, I'm already 2 months advanced ahead of things. This is really important for things like your larger tomatoes. I grow giant pumpkins. I like those. Larger 8 cucumbers. They need a head start because our nights are so cold, so late, that it just keeps things from taking off. Whereas in the Midwest, it starts getting warm and there's less temperature swing, and so it just gets warm and they just start growing and they don't stop. They just keep growing. Here they'll start growing and then slow down. You put your zinnias in. They love the heat. They want bright colors, beautiful flowers. They love the heat. So they'll get stunted going, I don't know if I like this. Until June hits and they're going, yes, finally it's warm enough. Let's go and grow. So it's kind of our cycle. Where we start with the nutrients, you folks that have compost piles, this is where it pays off. Those that you don't, this is where we start. Can you get that on camera, you folks? Okay, manure. Poop in a bag. Yes, it's poop in a bag. So this is deodorized poop. We call it barnyard manure. We used to sell steer manure. Remember steer manure for like $2.99 a bag? It's basically they just put a bag up to the behind of a steer. They just catch it, throw it in a bag, and go, here, you want some? It's pretty much what it is. I put this in the back of a very nice car, and it was gooey. It had just rained, and I went, this is not right. This is just not good. And so we created this recipe for, it's basically different types of manures, and then we've got a real fine compost that helps absorb a lot of the goo stuff. And then we just age it longer, so it looks like compost. You would never know this is poop in a bag. You put your hands in it and go, this feels good. It doesn't smell, this feels good. As a gardener, you go, I like this. But this, you want to put a layer of this over the entire garden. Manure, this is when you use manures. What manures has in them is a lot of nitrogen. So that's your first number. That's what causes green growth. It has some phosphorus. That middle number causes roots and flowers, fruits, things that form fruits and roots. That's what that middle number does. Potash, the last number, is more for disease hardiness, stem thickness, leaf thickness. It's what makes it robust. So those are the three numbers. This has the first two. You're kind of front loading with an organic material with those two materials, those two elements. Mainly what you're putting this in there for is the nitrogen, and you're putting a lot of compost, organic material. You're changing the structure, the actual structure of the soil. So you're putting all this organic stuff in there so the soil can't compact back down. You folks that have bought the house that, say it's an older house, couples lived in it for 30 years, but they got a little older, they couldn't take care of the property for the last 5, 6, 7 years. They've got these, they were gardeners, you can see the vision, but the gardens have kind of haven't been worked in a while. So the soil can look rich, but it's basically just compost colored granite. So you need to introduce some more organics in there to keep it to allow the roots to grow back down through there. So manure is where I go. For my gardens, I started with this. I think I bought 10 bags of this. Some of them are broken, some of them weren't. Just kind of got this, and then I added some of mulch. Mulch created this to actually add to trees and shrubs. When you're planting trees and shrubs, this is true compost, or so it looks a little dark, chocolatey, mocha kind of colored. It's made to change the structure of the soil, but without the nitrogen source. So now you can add that to a fruit tree or a shrub or new lilac, or you can add that to the soil, and it will actually change the structure without burning the roots off. That's what this is actually for. I just love the way this works in my gardens, because it actually fluffs the soil up more than even manure does. So I'll kind of blend the two together. If you had to just pick one, go with manure, because you'll get that nitrogen fix as well. This doesn't have that. Okay. Actually, why don't we just explain what the 4 different, you'll see in any garden center, a depot, a box, so you get the wall of soils, you're going, what the heck? Why are there so many choices? I don't even know what to do. And all of them have different names. There's really only 4 things you'll ever see. There's manure, number 1. There's mulch or compost. That's what this is. So this is a product out of Taylor, Arizona. We got an old sawmill. We just harvest all those old saw tailings. It's been sitting there for 50 years. We screen it down real tight, and so that's what this is. What you'll also see out there is, has to go with this. This is a killer. This weighs so much. Topsoil is basically mulch with a lot of sand. So for us, we harvest the bottom of the tailings, where a lot of the silt and the fines are settled down. So it's a much heavier product. This thing you could barely lift. And so it's made to top dress, fill in divots, holes, and not blow away. If you're to plant in this directly, some folks will try to actually garden in this. It's too heavy. Don't struggle. Don't do that to yourself. It's too much for that. But if you need to add some filler to a raised bed, it's great for that. Just fill it up, get some inexpensive material, make it go. This is what that's for. So if we're to come out and plant at your house, we're going to do a big boulder, and we got to dig that thing out. Now we're left with this huge, little plant in this huge hole. We'll use this to fill it out. It's going to add to it. That's what this is for. There's a specialized product. And the last one is going to be potting soil. This is where the real science is. This is going to be the more expensive of the products. This has got peat moss based. It's got perlite. That's those white specks you'll find in soil sometimes. That's put in there to keep the soil up and help it breathe. It's got a 555 organic fertilizer. This is made to plant directly into. And so can I say this? My pot growers, you know who you are. They take this, cut it open, put 2 plants in, and call it all good. That's how they're using this. You can do that with tomatoes or whatever. I would suggest filling up a pretty cobalt blue pot, or oxblood red, or some nice thing. I've even seen toilets filled up with this stuff, plant in it. Don't do that. That's tacky. Your neighbors aren't going to like you. But this is made to plant directly into. For those of you that are gardening in raised beds, if you could, take out that top layer where the roots are going to be. Let's say take out that 8-inch layer, or wherever those roots were from last year. You can take that out of that big square planter or whatever, and put this in there. Don't mix it in. Put it there straight, full strength. This is our grower's mix. This is what our lettuce has started. This is what our tomatoes are starting. This is our grower came up with this years ago. And so if you can take a plant that's got this soil and put it in more of the same soil, it just goes, this is great. I'm just going to grow like crazy. Plants do not like to go into different kinds of soils. They like sameness. So if you give them the same soil, you'll have better success. Just you have better damping off, better. It'll just be better. So some advice for you folks. For me, I garden in a lot of containers, so a lot of pots. And so I just take out my small pots that are like this. I'll replace all the soil, just put all new fresh. And my larger pots, I'll take that top layer, add some more of this on the top layer. So that's how I use it. Yeah. Oh, no. So, yeah, good. I'm confusing you. Sorry, just I diverted. Here, what I'm going to do, this is where you folks online, you'll be sorry that you weren't here. There's like a bunch of us here. You should come in and visit. So there's two things I'm going to give you. I wrote a card and column earlier, first of the year. This is what we're talking about. It's right here. It'll be, here's the recipe. You'll have it all. And then I've got how to fertilize. Ken, you've got both of these on your, maybe we can put the link on for these folks. Oh, awesome. Take a look at the bottom, folks. And you'll see the link at the bottom for these handouts. And then while you're there, could you like and subscribe? Like, subscribe, it helps us. Then I've got the 4 steps. My fingers are just so dry. You notice your skin getting drier? God, man. The 4-step how to fertilize. The best thing you can do right now is put some fertilizer down, especially for your fruit trees, things that bloom, lilacs, forsythia, quince. Put some fertilizer down now, and then hopefully pray for some more snow. That'd be like the perfect thing. And then the plant, you'll get better bud growth, bud swell. You'll get a better production out of your plants this spring if you do that. I'm giving you those 2 things. Roses, I'd probably wait for roses. I have a whole nother rose class. Hold on roses. I'll touch on roses, so hold on. Email, just put it right there and you'll have a link by the end of the day with these 2 things. It'll be in a PDF format, so you can open up on anything, desktop, phone, iPad, whatever, okay? Just coming your way. So that helps you with the recipe. Let's go back to where we started. 2-inch layer of barnyard manure mulch. We're going to take a shovel, a rototiller, whatever that is, down to 1 shovel's depth, and you're ready to plant, just like that. But I've got some more for you. Yes. No, only 1. Yep. Oh, good. So you're actually rain harvesting. Oh, perfect. Rain is the best because it's perfectly neutral. That's where they always try to go, you want neutral soil. That's why you're trying to get back to what the rain provides. And as you get these lightning storms, it actually charges the water with some nitrogen. So it's like the best ever. So perfect. But it won't be enough. You won't have enough. There's no way you can capture enough catchment. So it's more of a supplement, not a primary. You're still going to have to rely on that drip system or hose or sprinkler or something. You gardeners. Overkill. Yeah. Yeah. So what he was asking, so rain harvest, is that good or bad? Great stuff. Really it comes down to water softeners. Try to bypass that if you can. You could go before the softener instead of after if you're using that water. And then his last question was, the ground is hard. What do I do? I rented a rototiller and the tines just bounce right off. The best advice I can give you is never own a rototiller here. Always rent it. So if it breaks, you give it back. Well, here, fix this. Always. Do not own I'm telling you, I've broken several. So with that was a wise move, renting that. Perfect. He had rented an excavator, which is crazy. That's like way over. That's a hard. I'm telling you, all of the nerdy gardeners, you're tuned into how to get your soils ready. It's all about drainage. If you start to plant, before you plant, dig a hole in the garden, fill it up with water in the morning, If water's still sitting there at the end of the day, you've got problems. You need to keep digging further. So there's a caliche layer, something's down there, a rock shelf, something's there that's preventing the water from perking. If it gets bad enough, like in my yard, I'm on the north slope overlooking the Dells, the hardest gardening I have ever done. Heavy, heavy clays. Doesn't see sun very often. There's still piles of snow sitting back there. The rest of the yard's all melted. It's just a 2-story house, classic, dug into the hillside, great views. It's that. I finally got tired of killing stuff. I just said I'm gonna go raise beds. So I put retaining block at the bottom of the hill, backfilled it with this stuff, and I just got these tiered gardens all the way down, basically from the front of the yard. It's a hill like this, all the way down the yard, half acre, all the way down. At the bottom is a pond and featured water feature, that kind of stuff. I just said I can't garden in this, and I've had success ever since. So you'll know as you try to get your soils ready if it worked, because either the plants will grow or they'll die. You'll just know. Also, too, if you're dealing with new gardens, there's no way you can get a garden up to snuff year one. This is a process. You're going to build your soils up, and they'll get better and better and better. So in 2 or 3 years, you go, wow, it's working. So it may take a year or two to get it that way. But if your rototiller is skipping on the top of the soil, it's still too hard. Okay. All right. So before I'm the lazy gardener. Before I turn that soil, I'm going to add a few things, and I'll tell you why. I want to put a fertilizer in there. I put fruit and vegetable food. We created this food for our local fruiting and flowering, but mainly fruiting plants. This is fruit and vegetable food. It's all organic, completely organic. It's a 644 formula for you engineer, nurse folks, accountant folks. You love numbers. 644 nitrogen, phosphorus, potash. But really, we put 6447. It has 7% calcium. Calcium, where we are really lacking calcium in our soil. And an indication of that will be your tomatoes will form and you'll get this black spot. It's called blossom end rot. That is a calcium deficiency. That's it. That's what's happening. Your cucumbers will form, start to elongate, and then just drop off. That is calcium. Your squash will start to form and just won't pollinate. What the heck? Why won't they set fruit? That's a calcium issue. So if we know that, if I know that's how we're gardening, and I'm basically making a fertilizer for myself, I just share it with friends. This is the formula that I use. It's got 7% calcium. Calcium brings the size of the fruit out, sweetness, the flavor, the fragrance out. It'll bring out all the stuff you want in your edibles or your flowers, brightness. That's what this is for. So I take a bag of this. This will cover 2,000 square feet. If you got some extra, I've only got 300 square feet of garden. What do I do with the rest? If it keeps dry, that's fine. You can reuse it. What I do is I use it out in the yard on my flowering things. So fruit trees, great. On my lilacs, perfect. Autumn sage or Salvia greggii, perfect. This is a great one for all that. So anything that blooms or fruits, great fertilizer. It is organic, so it's got a earthy kind of organic smell. But that's what I use. See, that's the food. In addition to that, I add I get this and this. Where's my soil? So phosphorus, this is 0,18,0. It's all the middle number. If you want more tomatoes, you want more flower, more geranium blossoms, more anything that blooms, more fruit trees, phosphorus is what you add. So I want to front load. Yes, this vegetable food has some, but I just want to really front load it. You cannot burn with the phosphorus. You can only help. Now, bone meal is another one that you could use. So if things have not blossomed for you well, let's say you had a lilac and it just bloomed for the first couple of years. It looked really good. And last year it just didn't have the blooms were smaller. There just weren't many, just wasn't really working. That's a phosphorus issue. Add some more of this. So what I do with my blooming flowering, I'm a flower guy, remember, flowers. I chuck this on the ground on my plants that bloom a lot, kind of like it's candy. So I just kind of give it a little dose, and it just keeps blooming. So my autumn sage, I mean, this is a little shrub about this big, has red flowers, usually red, can have multiple flowers, non-stop, April through the end of the year, non-stop, just because of this. So I just give it some more. If you've had trouble getting things to bloom, phosphorus is your way to go. Say, some folks really make it complicated when you research online. I mean, this is where Google is not your friend. You get mesmerized by everyone's opinion. God, what the heck? What do I do? Some will say you have to work it in the ground. You've got to get it down where the roots are. You have to. I'm just telling you, just get it on there. It'll go through the rock. It'll go through the fabric. Just get it on. Let nature take care of the rest for you. That's why if you put it on and let it snow, that's the best, because it just percolates right down through the soil layers. So this is kind of your Snickers bar. Just I need a snack real quick to keep going. That's what this is for plants. This is more your steak and potatoes, hardcore, long term. I just need a great big meal and just go to sleep for a while. Just so full. That's what this is. So plants are kind of like people. Just got to know what their food sources are. I love this product. Man, I use a lot of this. This is humic acid. It's called humic, H-U-M-I-C. Again, you'll get the handout on this. But before I turned this big garden, I've got maybe 1,000 square feet I was prepping this spring or this winter a month ago. I put some of this down. Humic acid, what it does, you organic gardeners already know, but it's an organic. If you take a compost pile and you just percolate it down to its last element, it's humic acid. That's this. What humic acid does, it feeds the soil. It makes your worms giddy, just happy. Mycorrhizal colonies, all the beneficials that help to enliven or enrich a soil, that's what this does. It's feeding the actual soil. The plants do not pick this up. The plants react to the soil picking this up. So now plants go, oh my gosh, the soil's alive, and it should be. It's got to be good to grow here. So they start to root out faster. So if you're doing seedlings, you're expanding a new lawn, you're growing more radishes or cucumbers or just any kind of seedling, you need more roots fast, humic acid. So whenever I start a new garden or whenever I refresh a garden area that I'm going to put lots of new seedlings and stuff into, potatoes or whatever, I'm going to put some of this in to feed the soil. Some of you poor folks, I don't know how you do it out in the valley areas. That's dead soil. You literally have not one living thing. You'll dig and dig and dig, not see one living, you'll not find one worm, nothing. It's completely dead. If you put a plant in that, it won't die. It'll sit there and look at you and mock you, going, I am just not happy. It doesn't die, it doesn't grow, it just sits there, and because it's in dead soil. It doesn't know what to do. So you need to add some of these organics and some of this, and it'll make it go. So I kind of give plants in my world, you're allowed basically 2 seasons. I mean, I'm a hardcore gardener. But if you don't grow in my yard, you are in grave danger. You are going to be ripped up, cut down, replaced. I own a garden center, for goodness sake. You're going to be replaced by something sexy, beautiful, gorgeous, not struggling, suffering, turning yellow. So I'll try a couple of years. But once things start to stunt, they just don't want to recover. They stay in that form, and it can take years, if they ever do, to recover. So that's why you don't want to shop at Home Depot and Lowe's. Yeah, you heard me, because their plants are all stressed out. Not here at Waters Garden Center. Yeah. Yeah. Perfect. Love it. That's a nice garden. So for those of you over here and online, she's got raised garden beds just on the ground. So she's taking planks or something. It's a classic way or retaining block, whatever. It's on the ground, raised up, and she's complaining she's got too many earthworms. Can you believe that? Oh my gosh, I'm envious. Can we all come over to your house and get just one scoop and come over? Earthworms are your friend. They aerate, and their excrement or their tailings are supercharged with beneficial enzymes that make plants want to root fast. The only negative for you would be careful of voles and gophers. They're going to want to come into that because that's a food source for them too. So you want to defense, keep them out. And we can have a sidebar meeting on that. That's a good thing. What I would do is take some of that soil and spread the worms. It's not just the worms, it's their eggs. It's all the above. You're spreading out to other parts of the gardens. So for those of you that don't have worms, and that's probably a lot of us, I do take home, not now, I'll take home usually the end of April, first part of May, a bucket of worms. We'll sell the red wigglers are what you want, not night crawlers, not the fishing worms. They're too big. You want the smaller red ones. Those are the ones that are better for your gardens, and we'll have those for sale. When you see the ladybugs show up, worms show up. When you see the praying mantis eggs come in, that's when all those beneficials come in too. So, well, they'll just protect them. Humic is good for them. All of this stuff that we just said, it's good for worms. Will attract even more worms. It'll be a food source for more worms. There'll be so many worms they'll spill out over the edge and be crawling across the driveway in a rainstorm. It's one of those. So they'll be happy. Be really careful. Don't use chemical fertilizers. You'll burn off your turf builders, the petroleum-based products. Don't use those, or you'll kill off your worms and stuff. That's the one thing to watch. That's another reason you want to go more organic. Sometimes organics are great for the plant, juices them, they grow really fast. You see the growth with chemical fertilizers, but then it kills off the things in the soil. So the long term, it hurts you. Short term, you see it right away. Use organics more consistently. You'll get more consistent growth, and the health of the soil will be much better than long term. And you'll get the handout. I've got if you give me your email address, you'll have that how to fertilize organically coming in your inbox here shortly. I have these two things. Now I'm ready to rototill, turn things in. Here's one thing that I do, just a second, one thing that I do extra, just because I don't like the water as much, especially my raised beds and my containers. Before I get all done, I add AquaBoost crystals. These are polymer crystals. I don't know if you can see that online. It's just the benefit of being online. See that? How's that look, Jim? Okay, so go to this camera. How's that look? Yeah, there we go. Anyway, these are polymer crystals. This will swell up and hold like a 5-gallon bucket of water, all in the crystals. So it's like a gelatin it turns into. And then we've infused these with mycorrhizal colonies. So mycorrhizals are the beneficials that help populate your soils, encourage root growth. We're going really deep in the soil. But anyways, all the good stuff you want. So it's a product that holds water around the roots and encourages more root growth. I'll add some of this. So before I did this area, I just took one of these and I sprinkled it over this area. So now I get more mycorrhizal colonies and it holds the moisture around the roots. That's AquaBoost in a nutshell. I do it before I till. Yeah, I want this to be where the roots are. Also, just while we're just friends talking, I always have one of these on my shelf. Anytime I plant a new plant, a tomato, a tree, a shrub, whatever, anytime I plant, I'll sprinkle a little of this at the bottom of the roots, plant on top. Again, the reason why I want the mycorrhizal colonies, but also it takes the edge off the roots, keeps the roots down, keeps the roots moist down at the bottom, and as the crystals swell and shrink, they keep the soil open. So I just find my success rate goes up. AquaBoost. Really funky. You're not going to find it online. We make it here. We have little elves in the back filling up little buckets. Looks kind of cheesy. It is, but it really works. So anyway, that's till all that in, till it's mixed up. You don't want layers. You want it all to be blended. Plants do not like to see different kinds of layers. It's a mistake I'll find some folks will make. New gardeners, they put a layer down, they put some soil on top, a layer down, it's not blended as well. You want it to be completely blended. Another mistake I find some folks make, new folks, especially maybe they're from the Midwest or East Coast, and they're used to great, 8-foot topsoil. You're never going to see that here. You got 8 millimeters, maybe. And that was scraped off to put your footers down. So that's just gone. So they'll take we're doing raised beds, a lot of pots, containers, that kind of stuff. Whatever you do not take soil from your yard. I don't care where, but I've got this great dry wash down there. Don't take soil from there and put it in your buckets, in your pots, in your raised beds. It's as hard as a rock down there, and the second you put it into a contained, you're making bricks, is what you're doing. You're going to heat this thing up, it's going to solidify and become solid. So kind of you're having raised beds to get out of all the surrounding soil. That's where you're going to use your potting soil. That's what this is for, right here. This is like #1 seller out of all these because it sells consistently year round. Manure, we sell a lot of manure. It's #1 seller right now. But you're really only using that in the spring, maybe in the summer to top off lawns and stuff. But really, you're using it to get soils ready. This you're using year round. So, okay. Shall we talk food? Any soil questions? I think you're ready to plant. Let it set for 2, 3, 4 weeks. Let it kind of settle. And then you can start planting. If we don't get any more moisture, we don't get any more rain, we don't get more to kind of help you, nature doesn't help you, just turn on the irrigation, water it in. You want to water one really good soak to settle all these nutrients down. When you start to plant, what you'll notice, plants will take off really fast with growth. They're going to really ignite with growth. And they'll grow. You're going to, I am such a good gardener. I'm so glad I attended Ken's class. That's just brilliant. I'm going to do this every year. And then about May, it's just going to fade out and things just stop. You're going, what the heck? It was growing so well. What's going on? And you're blaming it on the heat or some other source. It's just the plants ran out of food. You just got to give it a little bit more food. That's why if you've got some extra vegetable and fruit vegetable food, take some and just sprinkle it around the plants through the garden, water it, and it'll just take right off again, just like that. It'll just take right off. So know that about your plants. They're growing, then they use the stuff up. You need to replenish. Okay? What else? Anything else? Just things I've learned over the years. Yep, sure. Yeah. So I've got a whole class of nothing but irrigation. I don't want to go that deep into it. Hey, Ken, do you think we could send also the link to watering for the folks? Just that you get one sheet thing on watering. That might help. So, because trees are different than roses, which are different than lawns, which are different than vegetables, which are different than flowers. Yeah. I'm watering right now. So I've got rhubarb, kale. I've got all that stuff right now growing. And they're looking good. I'm watering about every 10 days, just personally, right now. But it's been cold. We've had moisture. In fact, I turned the system off. It was running underneath the snow. I'm like, this is ridiculous. Turn it off. Let everything melt. Let it dry out for a week or two, and then I'll turn it back on. Summer, I'm getting there. Just hold on. Could you get as I start to see things bloom and leaf out, another month, 3 weeks or so, at the end of this month, first part of March, you're going to see spring. Daffodils are going to be up. Forsythias start to bloom. Quince they've been in bloom. Camellias are already in bloom. So spring is starting to show up then. That's when I'll kick it up a little bit, and I'll go probably once a week. I'll kind of do the gardener thing. Can't tell you exactly how to water each garden. I can get you close. So probably about once a week. During the peak, getting down to your point, usually by middle of April, middle to end of April, go into my summer schedule because things are actually fully leafed and it's starting to dry out. We can see some storms, but it's starting to get dry. April, May, and June is just dry. They're probably going to water 2 to 3 times a week. Try not to go more than every other day. But, as things are in bloom or in fruit, they're really sensitive. So if they get dry, what your soil's like, they won't kill them. They'll keep the core of the plant ready. They'll shed fruits, so they can affect. So I'll kind of monitor that some. So do that gardener thing. If it's 100 degrees out in June, and it's 10% humidity and there's a wind, it might be every day. So, and then water in the morning, pre-dawn. Hydrate things before the heat of the day is best. Just like you. Would you want to go out and run 2 miles without hydrating before doing that? No, nor do plants. They're running 2 miles every day in the heat of summer. They want to hydrate before. So anyway, okay, food. Let's go with, well, I fertilize most things. How do I position this? I didn't really come, I just thought of this morning going, I should mention food. I didn't actually think through the class. I'm fertilizing right now everything because I'm seeing it grow. My autumn sage or Salvia gregii, can I mention that one? It's already starting to leaf out. Roses starting to leaf out. My mums, they're already this tall. So things are starting because it's been so warm. I know we just got through a snowstorm, but it's not cold out. It's like 50 in the day, 30 at night. That's not cold. What we really could use is like 10, 15, 9 degrees for a week straight. Kill off all these bugs. So it's going to be a problem come summer when the bug situation goes. But okay, we just take what nature gives us. But it's warm. And so they're fertilizing so that as the soil temperature is what activates plants. As they activate, I want them to see nutrients. So I'm going to give it to them. That's what's going to ensure I get better flowers on my trees, better flowers on my shrubs, better perennial color. I'm going to feed all those things. I'm mainly right now using, for the general yard, this is our #1 selling food. Not everyone's a vegetable fruit grower, but everyone has some evergreens in their yard, everyone. And so this is a 744 all natural food. It's got a lot of sulfur in it, so it lowers the pH. So it's just front loaded with sulfur to lower the pH. And so that's what I'm putting on most of my yard right now. Okay. And I'll do this now. If you're thinking holidays, think Easter, 4th of July, Halloween, the most important feeding of the entire year. It's the end of October. When you see the fall colors, fertilize then. And then right now you're really at that New Year's kind of thing. So your evergreens really benefit from fertilizing midwinter. That seems counterintuitive, but we're just so mild that what happens, your evergreens will start to turn yellow. They get winter chlorosis. The short days just make them turn yellow. That keeps them from turning yellow, keeps them rich and green. So if you're thinking in those terms, so New Year's, Easter, 4th of July, Halloween, those are good markers to go, oh, I should fertilize. In addition, I had mentioned superphosphate for things that are like, if you're driving by my house, those plants, they get more care because I want them to look good all the time. I want to impress the neighbors. And when you come over to visit, I want you to go, whoa, I can't believe this. And so I'll chuck a few handfuls of this. I'll give it some of this, mainly in the spring. It's when I do most of the phosphorus. A little bit goes a long ways. But things that bloom, I focus on things that bloom or fruit. That's what I'm using this on. And then I'll just, as it starts to fade, I'll kind of give it a little bit more. So if you're having trouble with things blooming enough, they aren't fragrant, they aren't bright enough, that's this. Give it some of this. In the summer, I do give, where did my humic, where did that go? Did it fall underneath? Yeah. It's hiding, of course. You'll hear me writing about this in the summer for that 4th of July type of time frame, because plants that get stressed or new things just in the ground benefit from this. So if your maples sort of get burned on the tips, they're shedding some leaves, I'll tell you, fertilize with the all-purpose food and then put this on, because we're trying to get more roots. If you have a brand new landscape, put this on. Put it on now and in July. Humic is going to help you get more roots or help things. The more roots you have, it's all about roots here, the more robust that plant is. The more drought hardy they are. Okay? That's how I fertilize. Sure. So the ground, this is dirty. So how do you spread it? What does it look like? So most of these bags will cover 2,000 square feet. You folks know how measurements and geometry, perfect. If not, it looks salt and pepper. That's what it looks like on the ground. And usually I'll take my hand spreader and I just I just go through and I just throwing out fairy dust. But here, everyone be happy. Go for my trees and shrubs. It goes right to the soil, right to the rock, right to the fabric. Just get it on there. Most of my gardeners go, yeah, but can I work it in too? We were allowed to work it in. I never do. I just get it on the ground and expect nature. Your consistency is better than quality at this point. Just get it on there because you have no food in your soil. So you'll find that you're fertilizing more often here than you do other places. So my first corporate job out of college, so ASU, go Sun Devils. You know who you are. And don't forget to like and subscribe, right? The rest of you, give me 5-star reviews. In fact, go on right now, pull up Waters Garden Center, 5-star review. Be kind. So someone gave me a 3-star review, which is, in Google terms, that's like, you just, because they came in for some pansies, they didn't have the right colors for them. But it's January, right? You know this. Give me 3 weeks, you'll be buried. Why 3-star, you mouth breather? Anyway, I digress. I was very kind. I have a way of saying mouth breather in kind words. She knew what she was talking about. Anyway, where was I at? I got some extra time. It's good. Let's see. What was I talking about? Oh, feeding. Oh, like it's control. Yeah, thank you. That's good. Okay, so I'll just answer questions. Yep. So what's the question again? Oh, gotcha. That's good. So it's kind of freaky. I love gardening. I love the chemistry of gardening. That's my thing. I like killing things. I like making things grow. So you want to talk weed killers or bug killers? I mean, we make our own bug killer. We make our own foods. We make our own soils. Because I tried to work to the national companies. Just they don't care about, we're not big enough. There's not enough of us gardeners here to affect the line to change a formula, fill a different bag. You're not going to do that for us. So Ortho and Scott's and all these guys, they're not going to do it. But I know people. And so we're a farm community. So I went down to my friends in Casa Grande and said, hey, help me with this. I know you're in big ag, you're doing golf courses, big stuff, but help me figure this out and help me bag our own recipe. We also make our own water soluble. It's competitor Miracle Grows, flower powers. That's what you're talking about, right? Perfect. We're on track. Just making sure. I made flower power, the water soluble. We sell literally thousands of hanging baskets a year. Big, beautiful hanging. We're kind of famous for hanging baskets. They were coming into about May, and they would just stop blooming. These beautiful green baskets, but no flowers. They look like rock stars. Here, you take them home, nurture them for a while, you're pleased, and then they stop blooming. That's all food. So I made this flower power for basically heavy blooming things. If I were to take this hat, dip it in flower power, it would start to bloom. It's kind of that. So it's close to that. Literally, you can bring things back. So I made it for that. The negative with flower power, it's not organic. So I'm dealing with a lot of really hardcore organic folks. This is the organic solution. I do like to add to my container gardens flower power. I do that every couple of weeks just because it just makes your raised beds and containers just look like they're overflowing with life. And they are, because you're juicing them up. They're basically heroin addicts. Yeah, I need some more of that. Let's go. That's what that is. It's heroin for plants. Kids, can I say that, Ken? I don't know. Delete that. I know. We're live. That's good. Anyway, that's the different fertilizers. This is a complicated topic, how to fertilize plants. The main thing is consistency. Don't let plants run out. They literally will starve. And the starvation looks like yellow leaves dropping, thin, wispy. Pinyon pines should look tropical. It should almost look like it just should be thick and full and glorious. It shouldn't be thin and wispy. That's either a bug or nutrient thing. You can actually bring plants back to life, a little bit of gardener touch. You can make them do better than they can do by themselves. And that's why we're gardeners. Yes. Who else said something? Yep. Is there anyone else besides her? Yeah, yeah. What would I put on what? Oh, so pinyon pines. I'm writing a column right now on that. I'm going to wait till I think the pine scales out. It's going to be early this year because it's so warm and it's moist. It's going to be bad. And so if you've got pinyon pines and really ponderosas, I would fertilize them with the all-purpose food right now. That 744 all-purpose food right now. Probably by the end of this month, 1st of March, probably at 1st of March, I would give them plant protector. I didn't bring that up here for that because I wouldn't plan on that question, but it's a systemic bug killer. It's like an antibiotic for trees. You pour it right at the base and the plant will absorb this, so it keeps the scale at bay, keeps the bark beetle at bay. I predict just what I'm seeing out in the forest, it's going to be horrific as far as bark beetle. The damage you're going to see on the trees is not going to be pretty. And if you're not taking care of those, you'll see a lot of loss in your neighborhood. Protect yours. You now know how to protect them. If you're doing any kind of care at all, you'll be kind of the last tree standing in the neighborhood, and you'll just see this thing progress through neighborhoods, through the forest. Yeah. 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 So the question is, could that same formula, plant protector, food on everything, doesn't matter. Food, especially your natives, food on everything. 744, food on everything. Does the plant protector work on all trees? Yes. Is it a waste of energy and time and money and all that stuff? Are you going to get the benefit? I do. My trees that I've had troubles with, I do that. So if you had a heavy aphids, like you're saying, it will affect aphids. It'll thin them out and reduce the damage, or especially real tall things, real big type, tall pine tree. Aphids love to be up. It's a tree aphid. It's like an aphid on steroids. It helps to thin those things out. You get less honeydew, that dripping kind of stuff. It does help. I don't put it on my blooming things where I think bees are going to be on there. I've talked directly with the scientists. They say the stem does not allow the molecule to get through the bee. It doesn't affect them. Just in my head, I think I'm nurturing the bees better, so I just don't do that. I'd rather spritz them with a neem oil or something if I see an aphid or something on there. So it's just me. That's how I do it. You can do what you think. Right now, we're seeing there's waves of people coming in. I'll get to it in just a second. Waves of people coming in with their house plants. We're seeing spider mites hit this week. So you're seeing webbing, a dusty look. It looks like it's dusty with some slight webbing. You don't see the actual mite. That's spider mites. If you let that go in your house when it's this warm, they'll take over and kill the plants. So kind of watch. Just look for that. Put it on your radar. Take a look. Sometimes you can tap the foliage on a white sheet of paper or your cell phone screen. Kind of tap it on there. You'll see specks kind of crawling around. That's spider mites. If you see that, come talk to us. We'll show you how to kill them. So look, that's just something. These things don't hit just your house. They hit neighborhoods. The whole town sees the same thing at the same time. Okay. Yes. Was there something over here? You all have been. Was there something in the back? No, you're okay. Got it. Sure. Yep. Sulfur. So if you've had trouble, so soil sulfur. Her question is, how do I use? I'm here for you. So anyway, soil sulfur. What you do with this, if you've had real problems with your plants yellowing, if you're on a well, if you've tested that pH, it always spikes up. You're going to have to put soil sulfur down. Sulfur is the opposite of lime. So you'll see in Fine Garden Magazine, HGTV, they're all going right now. They're going, oh, you want to add lime to the gardens? It sweetens the soil. You heard this? That's everywhere in the country you do that, except here. Do not do that here. You will kill off your plants. If you add lime to your gardens, you will kill things. The other one that's like that is they're saying, take your wood ash and sprinkle them out. They'll take up all the ash. Don't put ash from the grill or from the fireplace in your gardens. Do not do that. You will kill the soil. We have so much ash already in our soil, it's ridiculous. You're almost trying to counteract it. And so thumb buttes and old volcano core. Glassford Hill's an old volcano core. The Williams Mountain, well, every hilltop is a volcano, and all that ash is settled, and now we're gardening in this. So you rarely need to add lime. You need to counteract all the ash, which is this, sulfur. Sulfur makes things more acidic. That you're always trying to push that pH down, always. And so then every time you water, the water pushes it up. So your water, the soil is going to neutralize whatever your water pH is. That's where the soil goes to every time. So if you got a well, bless you in the back. If you've got a well, oh, you're not allowed to sneeze anymore in today's COVID world. You don't even tickle throat or something. You just can't do that anymore. It's just, I got my shot. How many people had a vaccine? Oh, more. It's good. So it's building. 2 weeks ago was none. Last week it was like 1. Now we got a few more. I got mine. Works pretty good. Kind of the whole staff has gotten it. So it's working out pretty well. They're super efficient. I'm amazed how they got you in and got you out. I like that. Anyway, back to sulfur will actually lower every time water hits it. Looks like little sulfur discs. Every time water hits it, it lowers the pH, makes it more acidic. But it's naturally going to rise back up. So if you're going to use this, if you had yellow, if you had issues like that, this is what you're using. Mainly you're going to use this in the spring of the year. And usually one application does it. So anyway, sulfur. So the fertilizer, we put, excuse me, this one has no sulfur in it. Don't fall. Has no sulfur in it because I wanted to keep it purely organic. Truly, the definition of organic, you can't use any minerals. Otherwise, it's called natural instead of organic. This is completely organic. So for my organic gardeners, if you're doing trees and shrubs and grapes and berries, this is the one you want to use. The negative I noticed, we've got a black lab who, black labs are basically stomachs wrapped in fur. They love to eat rummage, to eat trash, anything. They'll eat everything. It's all organic, so it's meat meals and bone meals and meals, all organic. So dogs, coyotes, cats might like to eat it. Don't let them free feed out of it, but it's safe. It's okay, not going to hurt birds, any of that kind of stuff. Just know it's got more of an organic feel. Thank you. Yeah, hopefully I'm going to drink this before I do it. This one is all natural because we put sulfur in. And iron are the two main things. Yeah, it's got bone meal and some bird guano and some other organics. We can't call organic, we call it natural. So this we could actually put sulfur directly. It's got 3 or 4 or 5% sulfur in it made to lower the pH. And so people start using this going, I can't believe how well this stuff works. It's because of cottonseed meal, which makes it acidic, and it's because of sulfur makes it acidic. So this already has it in there. Most yards, this will do it for you. If you've had any trouble or if in doubt, you can't get too much sulfur. You can only get more. That's a secret, okay? Great question. Love gardener questions. With that, we're at 1 hour. Hey, Ken, is there anything else, just to get the folks online, any kind of questions? You're allowed one question, the first one online that asks something, I'll be glad to answer it. Otherwise, how many people are showing up online? 50 people online, about 30, whatever that is here. That's a good class. Well done. That's the difference in today's world. A year ago, we had this class. There was 50 people in the class, and 30 people online. Now it's flipped, where it's more online and by the end of the day, there'll be hundreds that have viewed this. It's really a upside down world. I don't know. I'll hang out. I wanted to tease you for next week's class. It will be on fruit trees. Let me show you 2 things and I'll let you go, okay? So one is this. This is I broke a branch. Staff hates it when I pull plants up. This is a pixie miniature peach. This is a freakish plant. It's been it's been grafted onto a different rootstock. So this thing stays tiny. It only gets about this big. Loaded with peaches, like big peaches, but it only gets this big. So it's not one you want to put out there and have shade underneath the peach tree. But in a garden setting, it's beautiful. It's a piece of art that actually helps you get fruit. So we'll go over, we got several of these miniatures, truly genetically dwarfed types of trees just came in. And mainly I got it for you all. Take a look at the buds. It's beautiful. All those are flowers. Peaches have the most beautiful flowers you've ever seen. Bright, 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 like red fluorescent pink. Then I brought this one. It's another freaky plant. Have you ever heard of a cocktail tree or multiple fruits? So we've sold cocktail trees. I almost get bored with them. We have a lot of them. This is freaky. This one's got a peach, a plum, and a nectarine on the same tree. That is cool. I got every one of them I could find in the field. This is a great farmer. I just said, I'll take the whole row. And when they're gone, they're gone. There's no more. This thing's probably 10 years old. But he's actually grafted these three different varieties. This is 1, 2. He's grafted these three varieties of plants. So this will be plums. When you get done harvesting those, the peaches will come out. When you get done with those, and you just get 3 different kinds of fruits. So we'll go over all of that next week, and then the normal stuff. What's the difference between the standard, semi-dwarf, genetic dwarf? When do you plant? How do you plant? Not so much a pruning class. We might touch on it. There's a whole nother, we're getting into real technicals with how to prune things. We might touch on it. How to fertilize, care for them. Now's a good time to be putting them in the ground. So all of that kind of stuff. How to plant them properly for better growth. How to stake. We'll go over all that kind of stuff and more next week's class. 9:30 here. Tune in. You folks online, don't forget, like, hit the subscribe, and if you can make a comment every once in a while in a positive way, we like that. No negatives. So, and then I'll hang out up here, and then we'll just I'll hang out until you're ready. Okay? Yeah, in the back. Go for it. Yeah. There are buds on it right now. So lilac didn't plant new net last year. And so now are there buds on it? So at the tips, you'll see these kind of 5. Okay. That's one for your lilac. For you specifically, use the all-purpose food and give it some super phosphate. Get those 2 things. That'll help it. Now, unfortunately, lilacs, things that bloom in the spring, they've been setting their buds since last October, November, December. For months, I've been setting their buds. If it's not setting buds, if there's any buds there, you can swell them up so it'll be bigger. I don't know if we have time to form more buds. But if you're on this program, yeah, that's okay. So lilacs are heavy feeders. Where'd my water go? They're heavy feeders, so kind of help them. And then if they broke this last storm, I haven't heard quite yet, but I have a feeling this storm broke a lot of branches, laid things over. That's one. All you can do is trim them up, clean them. They're going to have to grow their way out of that broken snow damage. Yeah, butterfly bush. Well, butterfly bush is a weed. Whack the thing down and fertilize it, it'll come back. Yeah, sure. Yeah. Oh, the all-purpose food and the super phosphate. Those 2 things will help you get more flowers. Do it right now. I mean, just like do it 2 months ago. If not, do it now, right away. Do it today if you can. And then hopefully you get